I still remember how wide my eyes were the first time I twisted the E-throttle on Zero's new 2014 Senior. Any word associations I had prior to electrics and slow were well and truly shattered. With a claimed 106 pounds-to-feet of torque, more than a Suzuki Hayabusa, available at an instant from its high-output motor and 660-amp motor controller, and no clutch or gears to finesse, there are few things that can beat it in a stoplight-to-stoplight dash. The question I had after riding the Senior in its first ride review, and after living with one, was when would we see the hot rod motor and controller in the DS, Zero's co-flagship dual sport offering. The DS shares the same basic frame and platform with the S and Senior models, so transplanting the motor controller is a plug-and-play affair. The answer is now, and the model name, in case you couldn't guess, is the Zero DSR. It was only a matter of time before the DS received the same hypo internals as the Senior, and the benefits as well. That translates to 25% more power than the standard DS, 67 versus 54 horsepower, and 56% more torque, 106 versus 68 pounds-to-feet. The DSR also benefits from the same high-temp magnets from the Senior, now housed in an all-new motor, discussed below. A breakthrough in motor design. Apart from the two new models introduced this year, Zero's big news is its patent-pending interior permanent magnet, IPM, motor, which is said to gradually phase out the current surface mount permanent magnet, SMPM, motor in use since 2013. For a clearer explanation between new and old, I turned to Zero's Chief Technical Officer, Abe Nazi. Without getting overly technical, Ask Nazi notes one of the main design flaws of the SMPM motor is its design places the magnets on top of the rotor, requiring complex and costly gluing and banding, making it tricky to manufacture. And though it met the power requirements Zero was looking for, hard street riding could cause it to overheat and trigger thermal cutback, which we've experienced in our own testing, most notably on the racetrack. IPM motors buried the magnets within the rotor, which makes for less complex, cheaper, manufacturing, while also moving the magnets away from the stator, thus reducing the amount of heat produced. The downside, says Ask Nazi, is that moving the magnets away from the coils in the stator usually results in less power. For the past 2 years, Zero's Director of Powertrains, Ryan Bifford, made it his task to design an IPM motor that could produce the same amount of power as the SMPM motor while still delivering the benefits of an IPM. For the 2016 model year, Bifford succeeded in doing so, producing an IPM motor that equals the power from the previous SMPM, but does not produce any more power than before. It produces less overall heat compared to the SMPM. And a metal rotor the magnets live inside acts as a heat sink to absorb the remaining heat still produced. Plus, the rotor is a paddle shape instead of being perfectly round, providing a slight cooling effect as it spins. Ultimately, says Ask Nazi, this new motor gained 45 superscripto Celsius, 113 superscripto Fahrenheit, of thermal capability, which now takes it into a motor that doesn't run into its thermal limitations on the street. If you're interested in a more in-depth explanation of the new motor, Bifford himself explains the Z-Force IPM design in this video, which you can also watch above. Ultimately, the new motor enables the rider to ride harder for longer, and if thermal cutback does set in, its effects will be less noticeable. The IPM motor will be available as standard equipment on the following models: Zero DSR, Zero Senior, Zero FXS, Zero SZF 13.0 and Zero DSZF 13.0. The SMPM motor remains in the Zero SZF 9.8, Zero DSZF 9.8, and Zero FX. Improved battery tech. Zero likes to tout its power packs as having the highest energy and power density in the EV market, yes, even compared to a Tesla, necessitated by the fact motorcycles have inherent packaging restrictions, meaning they need the most power in the smallest space. Now, constant development by Zero engineers means that power packs across the Zero range have even more density than last year. Ask Nazi says this was achieved via a modified ratio of metal oxides in the cathode and an added graphene matrix in the anode, yielding anywhere from 10% to 20% more range from last year, depending on the model. The DSR utilizes Zero's highest capacity 4-brick ZF13.0, 11.4 kWh nominal, power pack. Brick, for those not in the know, is the colloquial term for the amount of cell boxes inside of a single power pack. Each brick contains 28 cells in series, interconnected, fused and instrumented in a waterproof box.